Yeah, thank you, Akram. Thank you, Chirag. And thank you, Sarthak, as well, for a wonderful first session. So, yeah, it seems like my introduction is already done, but let me give you the brief overview. Like, I am a CEO of Inform Technologies, and I am a programmer by passion, not by business. So, and basically, like, I started my journey with the Laravel when Laravel 4 was in beta in almost 2013. And since then, like, I just set up my whole career in Laravel and bunch of few JavaScript framework, but I'm not a big fan of that. And I generally mostly write PHP code that I love. So yeah, and few years ago, like I have created this package that you can see on the screen, Laravel generator, that you can try. But this is not a session for that. But just like for overview, you will get more input for that. And I am a creator of like 10 plus open source packages, which got around like more than 1.6 million downloads so far. So yeah, let's get started. So sorry. Yeah. So today we are going to see Laravel Livewire. So let me give you the brief overview. What is Laravel Livewire? So in recent era, like to build any modern web application, it is not a simple, it is hard because we need to write JavaScript. People do not want to change the page. They want to stay on the same page and they want to make everything happen. So it is kind of the era of single page application, but still few applications are there, like we are seeing that Laravel Forge and lots of Laravel based applications, they are still powered by Blade template engine, right? So as a PHP developer, my pain is like why I should have that much deep knowledge of JavaScript, or why I should do this all the DOM manipulation, like um, listen for the click event of the button, do some Ajax call, get the response, and then prepare templates and render them again in the DOM, do search and that kind of thing. So Laravel Livewire is kind of a full stack framework for Laravel. It is not a full stack framework for PHP, but it is a full stack framework for Laravel for making dynamic interfaces, right? Without leaving the comfort of Laravel. So you can do everything in just Laravel, like blades, Laravel components, and the whole pure PHP code. And as author is saying already, like it is not like anything you have seen before. So I'm getting the same feeling that I got 7 years ago when Laravel 4 was released, and I was calling this as a magical framework, the magical framework of PHP, because everything seems like magical. Just write user : all and you get all users. I have never seen that kind of framework in my life because I was working in CodeIgniter and kind of little bit in Zen. And again, this is something new that I have never seen before. And the best way to understand it is just looking at a code, and author is saying the same. So let's get started. So what we'll be doing is we'll be building one demo application with it. So you can see my screen right now. So you can treat it as a support ticket interface, I will say, where these are all the tickets. So this is ticket title or subject, I can say. This is description, this is another ticket title, this is description, kind of that. So these are all tickets, and we can have comments on those tickets. So these are the all comments of the tickets. I can put a new comment on that. So I can type here, hit comment, it will add new comment over here. I can do search, so this kind of thing. So in a traditional any kind of web application, what we generally do to build this kind of application, right? We put lots of DOM manipulation things and we use jQuery, right? So whenever you are typing something here and you click this button, you listen for the jQuery event, like click of this button, and you get this content by jQuery. You do Ajax call on the PHP backend, you get the response, and on the response you get comment object that you again have to append in this particular container. Same for the search. So whenever you type something over here, you need to listen for the key down event or key up event, then get the content from the text input, then make a call on the backend for the Ajax call, and then render the data in this DOM. And before that, clear out all this data. So it looks like without writing a JavaScript code, it is impossible to do because PHP is not built for this kind of application, right? So with Laravel Livewire, I can say we can do it without even writing single piece of JavaScript code. So let's do it. How that will be possible, right? So this is kind of things that we will be going today. Is the text visible to everyone? Say yes or no. Yeah, yes. Okay. Let me know if this needs to be made larger, but I think it is fine. I have made enough. So we'll be doing basic project setup, like a new Laravel application, setting up env, install some basic packages like id helper or Laravel debug bar, something like that, and install Livewire finally, right? So that is already done. I have already set up a project to save our time. And then we'll be setting up a tickets and comments. So we'll be creating migrations. So I have already created few two migrations for tickets and comments. So ticket table is very simple: subject and description, nothing else, timestamps and primary key. Same for comments. Comments is also like id, then the ticket id to which this comment belongs, and message and timestamps. Pretty straightforward thing, nothing complex. And we are not going to do any authorization thing or anything, because that is not intended for this demo. We'll be simply doing demo without any kind of authentication, right? So that is also done. I already did that. Then create a model. So models are also done. That is also pretty simple, like ticket. So ticket can have two fillable fields like subject and description. Then it has a relationship like comments. So ticket can has many comments. And same for comment model, message and ticket id are the fillable fields, and it can belongs to one ticket. So nothing special over here as well, right? Create a ticket controller. So I have already did that. So what we are doing right now is, whenever we are calling this method, so we have one view which is like tickets. So route colon get tickets, which will be calling the index method of ticket control. And what it will do, it will return the tickets view, where it will pass all the tickets and the comments of the first tickets. I have specified one because in demo I know that the ticket with id 1 exists, right? So these comments, whatever are displayed, are the comments for the ticket number 1. But when I click this, nothing is happening because it is still static. We are going to make it dynamic, right? So that is done. Ticket controller, create seeders. So all this dummy data has been created by seeder. So I have created 2 seeders, which is in seeds directory in database. So when I run a seeder, I basically uh, like disable foreign key, then truncate the table, then call ticket seeder. What ticket seeder will do, it will use faker just for creating fake data, and it will create 15 tickets. And then in the comment seeder, for all the tickets, what we are doing is we are doing a random number of comments between 5 to 15. So every ticket will have at least 5 and maximum 15 number of comments. So we are storing comment as well, where we are using relationships like ticket of comments of save, and we are passing message, right? So pretty good. Then set up a layout. So all these things are already done. Like I have created 3 files. One is like one is like app.blade.php. So let's see this. So nothing special, like I just included Bootstrap and Core UI, which is open source and font awesome. We are not using it, I think, but it is just the template. Then I have made one style.css, which is to make little bit good looking of it. And then I have set up some jQuery and Bootstrap and Core UI minimum. Someone has drawn on the screen. I think I need to. Okay, this is good. So yeah, nothing special in layout as well. Just like standard Bootstrap file, Core UI file, and nothing else. And let's see our tickets view. So just like standard Bootstrap, like card and headers and nothing special. So what we are doing, we are rendering all the tickets. So we are rendering subject and description. So this is our container div list, ticket list, which is this, where we are rendering every ticket, right? So we are just using for each, and for all the tickets we are just rendering data by traditional Blade template. And same for comments in the sidebar, on the right side section. So all the comments are being rendered, where we are displaying the date when comment was created in a human format, like a 1 day ago or something like that, and then the message of comment. And nothing special over here as well. And then there is a section for new comment where we have one text area and one button. This is not even a form. You can see that I haven't declared any of the form. It is just like one text area and one button, which type is also button. It is not submit, right? So we are good so far. Now, so this basic setup is already done, so we do not waste our time in creating this UI, right? So now let's get started with Livewire. So what I will do is like I will go with the Livewire documentation step by step, and that's how we will be developing our application. So you guys can later on go by this documentation as well to integrate in your own application. And after this meetup, I'll be putting this all code online with this repo like Laravel Livewire demo, which is private right now, but I will make it public after this meetup. So you can see and check the code as well. So yeah, so the first thing is we need to install package by any traditional Laravel way that we are doing. So composer require Livewire, and we are already done with that. So I'm not going to repeat that because it will take some time, but Livewire is already included, right? So we are done with that. So what is next step? So next is like we need to include assets. So it gives two directives. So one is like Livewire styles and Livewire script. So what we will do, we will copy this and we will go to our app.blad.php. I will include it over here, and then I will go and get the scripts, and that I will add over here. So that is good. So that is done. So installation we are done. You can use, if you are using Laravel 7, then you can include this way as well. This is the new syntax that Laravel 7 has came with, that is the components. So you can do this way as well. So this is one kind of Laravel component, but we are good. We'll be using the traditional way like the blad directive. So done. So that is our third step. So so far we are done with the installation. So we are done with the installation. So now what's next? So let's understand the component structure. So Livewire come with the components. So everything starts with creating component. So let's go to the second page and create a component. So there is one command on the Livewire which you can use like php artisan make Livewire, and then you can give your component name. So everything is in Livewire is component based. So let's create our first component, which is ticket window. So I'll go here, I will grab it quickly and I will hit enter. No, so you see it created two files. One is class file, which is in app, http, livewire and ticket window. And one is view file, which is in resources, view, livewire and ticket window.blad.php. So this is the blad view, right? Nothing related to JavaScript or nothing special. So if I go here now and if you check like in HTTP, sorry, it is not reloading for some reason. Yeah, Livewire and ticket window. So nothing special here. We have created one class which is extending the component of Livewire, and it has a render method which will return a view, right? If we go to this view ticket window, we can see nothing special over there as well, just like one empty div, right? So we have created our first component, and this is how you can create components, because in Livewire everything is based on components. Whatever you work, that will work as a components, right? So clear so far, like fourth point is done. So now let's refactor our code to use this component. So far what we are doing is we have all of our HTML code over here in tickets.blad.php, right? So what we'll be doing, we'll be moving this whole code into our new component. So I will just write it here. So what I did, I just moved all the blad code to my component view, right? And how we can now use this component? So we have moved, so there is nothing over here right now, right? So let's see that how you can use the component, right? 1 second. Okay, yeah. So this is how, 1 second, I think. Okay, maybe I missed something. Yeah, like this, Livewire and foo. So what I can write over here, Livewire directive, and then my component name, that is tickets window. So now let's try it, right? What happens? And we will get error, of course, because we are not passing tickets, because we are passing tickets from the controller, but we are not passing tickets and comments into this particular component, right? So component can have its own data. So how can we do that? It is simple, just like you were doing in the controller. So I go here, I will cut this code from here because we are no longer want to do that. I will remove this to use statement as well. I will go to ticket window. I will simply write it here. So what I'm doing is when I render this view, just like we do in controller, I will pass the data over here. Now let's try it again. Seems working, right? So we are done. We have finally moved our all the blade code to our component and it is still working. So we are done with the first step. So what we did, we just refactor ticket window component. We moved our blade code from our traditional view file of the Laravel, and we use that in our blade view of the component, and we pass the data to the component, right? So yeah, let's move ahead. So what I want to do right now is I want to create two more components. So right now this is our whole component, this whole window. Now what I want to do, I want to keep header in the main component. I want to separate out this tickets list component, and then I want to put these comments into another component. So what we will be doing, all the code we have over here, you can see we have two columns. One is this and one is this. So what we'll be doing, we'll be creating two components for this thing as well. I will explain at the last why we should create small components. At the end of that, it will make more sense and you will understand more, right? So let's do it. We are going to create two more components, which is ticket list. So I will go again over here. I will make one more component, which is ticket list, and one more, which is comments list. So I go here, I again create one more component, comments list, right? Let's try to refresh. Okay, so we got two more components, right? So what I'm going to do is, like, I go to my ticket window, I cut this code, I go to my Livewire, I go to ticket list, I paste it here. So now this particular view has all the code, and same we will do for this thing as well. So I will post this comments code, I will go over here, I will paste it over here. So traditional, and just like as we pass data to the component, same we need to do for that. So over here we will cut this because we are not passing data to this component, but now we need to pass the data to the ticket list and comment list component. So I will go from here, in ticket list, what I will do, I will paste data and I will move this. Sorry, I will delete this. So tickets are passed to ticket list because our tickets are being rendered by this ticket list component, and there is no comments over here. So we do not need to pass comments at all, right? And then I will go to comment list. I will paste this data over here again, and I will remove tickets from here, and I will just pass comments over here, right? So this is done. Now what we need to do, since we remove all the code from here, ticket window, we need to include now components. So same, Livewire, tickets list, and same for comments list, and it should still work. Let's try. Yep, it is still working. So whole code is still working, right? So we are done with creating enough components. So we have created 3 components so far, and refactor them to have their own set of data and their own set of views, right? Now things becomes interesting and magical, I will say. So the next thing is data binding, right? So how you can bind the data of your component to your view. So right now what we are doing, if you go to tickets list, we are passing tickets over here, right? So what I can do as another option is I can create tickets property over here, which will be basically, let me give it tickets of array, or it will be collection. It is not necessary, it is just for like good auto completion and the best practices to declare the types of variable. And what I can do, I cannot pass anything here, or I can just refactor this something like this. So this of tickets is equal to tickets of all, and I can get rid out of this, and let's try. Yep, it is still working. So it is not required that you need to pass data from here, right? You can prepare data at anywhere. It should be a public property, and you can still do that, right? So let's do the same for comments as well. So I will go to the comments. I will define public property comments. Then it will be the array of comments, or it will be a collection of Laravel. And I can get this code. What I can do is comments is equal to this. So what we are doing over here is we are retrying the first ticket and passing the comments of that. And let's try. Yep, it is still working. So we are good. So this is how you can bind your data to the view. So you can create any property over here, and that will be instantly accessible in your view. So just like traditional variable. So it is not required you need to pass data to the view every time. You can still do it, right? So let's move to the next. So now we are going to implement Laravel actions. So we have done with public properties. Oops, we have missed mount method. So let me do it. So there is a mount method in the documentation that you can read over here. We have already seen render method. So what mount method is? So mount method is called before your view is being rendered. So you can treat it like before calling this render method, mount method is being called. That is basically the life cycle of this component. So what I will do, I will create one mount method over here, and I will pass this data over there. And same for comment list. I will do this mount, and I will just copy this data over this, and it should still work. Let's try. Yep, it is good. So yeah, so if you want to initialize any of your data before your view is being rendered, then you can do something like this. So your render method will just take care of rendering view, and it will be isolated. So your render method will not grow like 100 lines of code or that kind of way. You can still do that in mount method, right? So good. We have already refactored components to use public properties. So that is done. And now we are finally going to see Laravel actions. So if you can see, this ticket is not clickable, or it is clickable, but it is not being selected. What should happen? So if I go here, I inspect the element, and if I add active class over here, right? So this should be something like this should happen. So when I click over here, it should become active rather than this. When I click here, it should become active rather than this one, right? That is something should happen. So let's do that. How we can do that? So that is called like Laravel actions. So let's see that first of all over here. So what you can do, you can actually define your method, your function in your component, and you can call them directly from your view file. Kind of crazy, because this is HTML, this is render on browser side, and this code is on backend side. So how did that work, right? So instead of click, what you will be doing, you will be writing wire colon click and the function name, right? So when this button will be clicked, your this method will be actually called. So let's see. So what we can do, let's close everything else. This is our ticket list component, right? And this is our ticket list view. I want to attach an active class over here for the selected ticket. So let's do something like this. Let's take one property, which is selected ticket ID, which will be the integer, right? And what we can do is, now since this is a public property, right, so we can access it over here. So I can do something like this. If selected ticket ID is equal to ticket ID, ticket colon ID, which is basically this ticket that we are rendering, right? Let me wrap it to make it more sense. Then what we are going to do, if they both are same, I want to apply active class, otherwise I don't want to apply anything, right? So what we are doing, when the selected ticket ID is matching with the ticket that we are rendering, right? So active class should be attached, right? Now what we can do, let's make one more method over here that is like public on ticket selected, and there will be a parameter called ticket id, which ticket is being clicked. And what we will do, we will do like this dot selected ticket id is equal to ticket id. So now we need to define this function on the front end with the ticket id. So let's do that. So this is div. Let me go on the second line. I will say wire click, then my method name that I have just defined over here, and then I will pass just like ticket id, right? So what we are doing, we are defining the method on ticket selected that we have declared over here. We have parameter ticket id, which will be basically this ticket. So let's see that what is happening. Okay, so let's see the view source, what's happening. So you see this is the ticket 1, where the ticket id is 1, ticket id is 2, ticket id is 3, ticket id is 4, just standard blad thing, right? Now let's try to click it. Okay, it is working. So kind of crazy thing. So I have nothing right in JavaScript and it is still working. You can click any method and it is being selected, right? And it is possible without writing any single piece of JavaScript code, right? So yeah, let's see some more magic. And what is next, let's see. So what we did so far, we have defined Laravel actions. So you can actually define methods on backend and actions on front end. When your button is clicked, you can call directly the functions of your backend, right? We have added interactions to tickets list. We have handled the ticket click event and make ticket selected. So we are good so far. Now what's next? So we have seen that ticket is being selected, right? But comments over here are not being updated. So how we can do that, right? So here it comes with the new concept of Livewire, which is called events. So events are something like what you can do is you can define or dispatch event or emit event by 3 ways. One is directly like this, just like we did wire click, right, over here. This is one way for the event. This is second way. If you want to emit events from the PHP, you can do something like this from your component. And also if you want to dispatch, so sometimes if you are using some complex JavaScript or third-party tools, say for select2, right? So for select2, you will be handling the change event of the tags. So you can actually emit event like that as well. So Livewire uh, exports one object on window that called window.livewire, and you can call methods on that. So window.livewire.emit post edit. So these all things are exactly same. You can do any of the way, right? So how we can do that? So let's see it. So we have comments list over here, right? And ticket list over here. So somehow we need to tell comments list that ticket has been clicked from the ticket list component. So we will go to ticket list, and whenever our ticket is selected, we will emit the event. So I will say this dot emit, and I will say ticket selected or ticket change. Let's keep it selected, right? And I can pass actually the parameters over here as well. So I can say like ticket ID was this ticket ID. So we have now dispatched the event from the component. That is done. But how to listen in our comments list component, right? So let's see that. This is how you can define your event listeners. So you can define your event listeners like this. So this is your event name, this is your function name. So whenever this event is dispatched from any component, this function will be called. Pretty easy. Let's do that. So I will say listeners is equal to, okay, this is our event name, ticket selected, and I will define a method on ticket selected, right? And I will define this method over here. Sorry. We will get some params, and that will be like ticket ID. will be params of ticket ID. Now, what we can do? So we already got ticket ID, right? So which ticket is selected, we are already getting. Now what we can do? So we can retrieve comments of this particular ticket and render it. So let's refactor over here a little bit. What I'm going to do, I'm going to define another method for like private method, like refresh comments, right? So let's take this code over here and abstract this with ticket ID. So which we will pass over here, right? And from here, I will be calling this dot refresh comments and one. And from here, I will call this dot refresh comments and with ticket ID, right? Now let's try what's happening. I will hit refresh. When this is already the first ticket, so I will click second. Oops, it is refreshing the comments. So we are already getting now our comments, right? So I select any ticket, it is loading its comments over here without writing any piece of JavaScript code. It's still working. So that is about events. One more thing, if you do not want to write this function, right, you can just see or name this function as the same and you can remove this, right? So let's try it. Select number 2. Yes, seems working. Yeah, pretty good. So yes, so if your function name and listener name, or sorry, your event name is same, then you do not need to specify the function over here. It will take it automatically. So we are good. Move to next. So this is done. We have rendered the comments of selected ticket. We have dispatched an event from ticket list when the ticket is being selected. Listen events in the comment list and refresh the comments of the selected ticket. So yeah, someone is saying like, what is fire in the network? I'm coming to that topic. Give me some minutes. I can understand your excitement. So yeah, so this is what's happening. Now let's see what it does in the back. So I'm opening my network tab, right? So this is pretty crazy, the interface. So yeah, so when I click this ticket, what it does, can you see my screen or not? Yes, okay. So it is firing basically one call on the backend where it pass a bunch of data like a checksum for some security, then the action, what is the action queue, like call a method, payload was method name, the parameters, then it passed the data, which is your public data. You see the selected ticket ID and tickets data that we have, right? Then the ID for like some security purpose and the name, right? So it pass this data to the backend on behalf of us, so we do not need to do it anything, right? Actually I cannot zoom the panel. Okay, see it? So it passed this kind of data and what we are getting in the response. So let's go to the preview. So we are getting something back and you see here the full DOM is being passed, right? So this full DOM is being rendered on the front end, right? And all these other parameters like checksums and everything, it is their inbuilt thing. It is for like security purposes and make sure that request is fired only once and something like that. So this is pretty new thing and this is their inbuilt things. Sorry, but I don't know actually what is exactly the checksum, but whatever I have seen, this is basically the Livewire thing, this ID that you cannot overwrite or you should not override this checksum and everything. This is basically some hash which it is passing, so nobody can hack the request in the between, and it can verify that the data which was sent by browser, the same has been received on the server. So something like that I feel. But the main thing is this DOM. So the full DOM is passed from the backend, which will be appended over here. And when you are emitting event, you see it is already then calling the data for comment list as well, right? So ideally it is doing all the stuff for us behind, and we do not need to do anything for ourselves. So if even if you do not have any knowledge of Ajax or JavaScript or anything like this, you can still keep it yourself to the Laravel, and you can still make this kind of applications. I think yes, it is already using CSRF token, which is being appended on the cookie. Yeah, so I will try to answer as much as I can. This is a little bit long thing, so if I will answering all the questions, you will not be able to make it done in the time. So you can ask all the questions at the last, and I will love to answer that, because it is becoming really hard to go and check the messages in the chat while doing the demo. So yes, we will definitely do it, but keep your questions and we will answer them all in the question answer session. So yeah, now let me get back it to the normal. Okay, so yeah, so that is how it works. But and actually this is not a new concept. Let me show you. GitHub is also actually doing the same. So if you see this, I am clearing this out and I am hovering on this develop branch list, right? uh, and see, it is sending one request, right? So GitHub is sending one request where it is passing some data, just like Livewire is passing source action and source controllers. And what it is returning, it is returning the full HTML. So this is basically Ruby and Rails concept that is used widely in Ruby on Rails applications, and GitHub is also using the same. When I roll over on few things, right, it will pass, you see hover card is passed and it get the response. So basically the same concept that GitHub is using. So the same concept is Livewire is also using, right? So let's move ahead. So we have seen actions, we have seen data binding, we have seen events. Now let's see add comment. We have seen data binding, but not in that much detail. So while adding a comment, we will see it in detail. So what we got here? So in the comments list, we have one text area and we have one button. So button is pretty easy. And let's see how we can make this thing particularly like, so what I will do, if you can see in the documentation over here in the data binding, let me check, I think in the properties, initializing, yes, data binding. So how you can do data binding, just like same in view, you do something like view colon model, same way you can do it in Laravel. So what I can do, I can define one public property over here, then I can define the model, and when I change a text, it will automatically update it. So the same concept we can use for our comments. So what I will do, I will go to the comment list, I will define one more property over here, which is like public new comment message, which will be the string. You need to check it like all the parameters are supported over here, but we will discuss like few of the things are not basically able to pass directly to the Laravel. We will come into later. So I have declared this property new comment message. What I can do is I can go to my view, which is comment list. I can define like wire model is equal to new comment message, right? So this is our model. And now what I can do over here is I can define, let me make it a little bit more convenient for you. So I can define wire click add comment, right, and function. So now let's define this function on the backend, just like we did for ticket selected, right? So I will do it over here, pbf. And what you can do over here now, see the problem. To add a comment, right, if you go to the comment model, we need ticket ID. So how we can get this ticket ID? Because we can get this comment message but not the ticket ID. So there are two ways. Either we get the ticket ID of the first comment that we have, because these all comments belongs to the same ticket ID, right? But what will be the problem? If any new ticket is there and there is no comment on that, then we will not have any comment. So how we can do that? So if we see, whenever any ticket is selected, we are already getting ticket ID over here. So why don't we do that? We get one public property, which is like a ticket ID, which will be integer as usual. And what we can do, this ticket ID, we can convert it to this one, and now we do not need to pass it over here. This is one, this is good. We do not need to pass it over here, and we can do something like this, right? Yeah, so whenever any ticket is selected, we set ticket ID on this variable. Let's try it if it is still working or we got some problem. Oops, comments. Oh, sorry. Oops, yeah, because over here we haven't passed anything. Oh, sorry, on the initially we haven't selected any tickets, so there will be no comments object over here, so this is giving error. So what we can do over here is, let's say temporarily we say if is null, which is our ticket ID, this dot ticket ID, then we will say like this dot ticket ID is equal to 1, that we are passing from here, right, in the mount method, but now it's no longer using. Let's try it again. Yeah, it is still rendering the comments of first ticket, right? So yeah, it is working, so that is good. So what we can do now, while adding a comment, I can see comment is equal to new comment, and I will define the parameter over here, which is like a message. So message will be our model, new comment message, and there will be ticket ID that we already have, which is this dot ticket ID. And I can see comment dot save, and let's see what happens. Okay, so let me pick something new. Okay, so I will write something over here, hello India. Edit, nothing happens. Let's see if the comment was added. This was like temperous. Okay, so comment is added, but somehow we need to do some cleanup, right? We need to append this comment over here. We need to clear this message. How we can do that? So to clear a message, we can simply do this. New comment message is equal to empty. Now comment is being added, right? But we are not refreshing the comments, right? So we need to call it. So we'll do something like this. So whenever new comment is added, then refresh the comment before we render the view, right? Now let's try it. So I will go to the same. I will write hello Laracon India, and let's see. Yes, it is added, right? We can do some cleanup like scroll bar end, but it is added real time. Hello Laracon, Laravel. Okay, added, right? So pretty good. Commenting is working, and this is how you can do actually commenting, right? Okay, what's next? So add comment is working. Now we got few things that we have not handled. So if you see here, basically I haven't selected any comment over here, but still, sorry, any ticket over here, but still comments are visible, right? Which should not happen. We should do something like no tickets are selected. So what we can do, but what we are doing, we are just passing ticket ID over here, right? It is setting as a 1 if it is null. So let's remove this, and what we can do is, let's say like if is okay, let's skip it. Then if it is null, then we will see this dot comments is equal to empty and return from here. Do not move forward, right? And when we go to the view, let's do something like this. On the comments list, I will say if is null, our ticket ID, since I can directly access it over here, I do not need to write anything like this. Or see, is not null, sorry, then render these all things, because we know if the ticket ID is there, comments will be there, otherwise it will not be there, right? And I will end if over here. In this case, I will simply do no ticket selected, right? So yeah, now let's refresh it. Yeah, so no ticket is selected. That means like no ticket is selected. And when I select a ticket, it is rendering the comments of that ticket. So good so far. Nothing. Still, we have not written any single piece of JavaScript yet. Okay, what's next? So this bug has been handled, like we have specified the empty state for the comments. Now the only thing that is pending is this search, right? So how we can implement the search? The same way we have implemented the model, right? So what we will be doing, we will defining a model, and we will make search working, and we will handle few bugs that will be for selecting. So what I will do, since the search is in ticket list component, I will go here. I will define one public property here, which will be search. It will be string. Now what we need to do, we need to define search in our, or we need to define or set as a model on our view. So I'll go here, I will write something like, come on, wire model search. Okay, right? So we have defined our model. So whatever written over here, right, it will be instantly visible. Let's try it. So I will say h3 colon search. So let's see, refresh. Hello, you see it is written hello Laracon. Yeah, so we are getting the value on the back end, so this is fine. Let's remove it. Now rather than returning the all tickets, we need to return the ticket based on this search. So that is pretty kind of a long query. So what we can do over here as well, just like we did in comments list, we can make this function like refresh comments, and we can call it from there. So what I will be doing, I'll be defining one private method that is refresh tickets, and I will put this code over here. Right now, how we can do this search? So I have some pre-ready-made code that we can do. So I'll write something like this. So I will prepare one query object on ticket. Then I will see if the search is not empty. Then I will say where subject is like this of search and percentage. So it will only search from the starting of the string, not from the middle, right? Let's keep it simple. And then ticket should be based on that query. Let's see if it is working. I hope it will not. And we will see the problem. You see for each, right? We got some problem. So what happened? We have removed from mount method. So refresh tickets. Let's see. Okay. Now let's try to write sed, but nothing is happening, right? Why? Because before a render method, right, our mount view is only called when this is rendered the first. Now before rendering the view, we need to again call this refresh ticket. So what I will do, instead of now mount, I don't need this mount method. I will do it from here. Basically it is the same, right? So I will remove it. Now let's see if it works, right? I will say SCD. Yes, it is working. When I select a comment, it is rendering the comment. When I clear, so see, what is the difference? The mount is only called when your view is being rendered. So when your view is being rendered over here, then the mount method will be called. But in subsequential calls, mount method will not be called, right? So search is working. Now still we got some problem. So say like this ticket is selected, right? Now I am writing OFF. So you see now ticket is not selected, but comments are still visible. So we got one bug. How we can solve that? So what we can do, so what is happening? Like our selected ticket ID is now no more present in this particular result. So what we can do over here is, like, we can check if this of tickets, right, count, either count is 0, or that means like I have searched something which is not present in ticket at all, right? That means our result is 0, right? So there are two cases, either 0 or we have it but it is not in the selected list. Oops, sorry, code is pending. Yeah, or we can check tickets, I will say contains id, which should be this dot selected ticket id, right? Then what I will do, If ticket is 0 and if the selected ticket ID is also not there in the view, then what we can do, we need to make the uh, ticket ID of this component as null, because this ticket ID should be null if the ticket ID is not selected, because that is working on this function. When any ticket is selected, then we are making this ticket ID, right? So let's do it. I will say this dot selected ticket ID is equal to null, and I will say this dot emit, or I do not need to do emit, I can directly call this function. I can get read out of this. I can say on ticket selected, I will pass null. So what it will do, it will set my selected ticket ID is null because it is no more selected, and it will tell the components list component that now the ticket is null, right? So let's try it. Okay, I have selected this ticket. Sorry, oops, got a problem again. What? Oh, sorry, this should be null. Sorry. Yeah. Okay, I have selected SED, so it is rendering. Right now I will write OFF. Yep, it is working. So now no ticket is selected, and we can click it. It is working. I can clear it out. It is still being selected in the state. You see, like whenever results are being clear, it is still visible, right? So yeah, so we are almost done. Let's see what is left. So we implemented search, model is defined, search is working, we have bugs, handled the few bugs of selection. Now let's display the comments counts. So we got comments list over here, and I want to display the comments counts here because right now it is not making much difference. Like if I can get some numbers over here, it will make more sense. So I will go to the comments list. Pretty simple, nothing special. I will just say like comments of count, right? Let's do refresh. Oops. Oops, sorry, not there, not there. It will be over here. Okay, when I select it, it is 7, 15, 16, 10. Let's see. Laracon online comment. That count should be increased. Let's see. Yep, it is increased and it is there. So yeah, this is what like I have to share for today, and I think we are done. I'll be pushing this code very soon to the repo, and I will make sure it becomes a public so all you guys can check it and see the code. So yeah, now I will hand it over back to Akram for question and answer session.
Thank
Thank
you
you
so
everyone.
much, Mitul, for the wonderful session. It was